Hi, my name is Jillian Tinkell, and this is my Module 5 for Educational Leadership. The qualities of a great leader that I have chosen are open communication, confidence, commitment, positive attitude, creativity, intuition, inspiration, approachability, honesty, and reliability. These 10 qualities of a leader are ring true to me because I feel like you have to be inspiring to inspire your teachers, your staff, your students, and definitely be reliable, something that I find is a huge quality. Being a teacher, I rely a lot on my principal for support and for other resources I need if I'm struggling in my classroom. Leading diverse teams is one approach that I feel as a leader we need to do. So leadership is about engaging and energizing people and inspiring them to give their best, to stretch, to achieve, and absolutely to excel. We've all been in places where leaders have served as role models and examples of this behavior we really want to emulate, where they've sought out our input in making things better, made the work that we do more meaningful, and recognize our skills and talents. When we work with such these great leaders, we feel energized and charged and willing to give our all. And I find this true. I feel the more and more that my administrators and my leaders recognize my achievements, it makes me want to give more. Bringing sense to leadership is all about setting behaviors. So authentically value and respect all individuals for their talents, regardless of where they came from and what job position they're in, if they're teachers, if they're paraprofessionals, if they're the speech pathologist in your school, if they're even a parent on the PTO. Make sure that they're respected, their values, their talents, everything they have can be brought to the table, and as needed, they could be used. The second sense of inclusion of leadership would be actively creating a high engagement culture by encouraging the input and initiative of all employees. So leaders should definitely monitor their own behaviors to ensure that they treat all opinions equally and respectfully across all the board. Like I mentioned before, if there's a para in the building, a speech pathologist, an occupational therapist, anybody who comes into the building and has an opinion or wants to throw ideas off for a certain event or what they think is happening, I think it's so important to treat everyone to their opinions equally. The video that I wanted to incorporate was from Rosalind Torres, and she talks about what it takes to be a great leader. In the video, she discusses about quitting her job for a year, traveling to South Africa and other places to study leaders in that environment and what made them a great leader. So in this video, you are going to watch Rosalind Torres, just bits and pieces. I'm going to skip through so we don't have to watch the whole thing.
What makes a great leader today? Many of us carry this image of this all-knowing superhero who stands and commands and protects his followers. But that's kind of an image from another time. And what's also outdated are the leadership development programs that are based on success models for a world that was, not a world that is or that is coming. We conducted a study of 4,000 companies, and we asked them, let's see the effectiveness of your leadership development programs. 58% of the companies cited significant talent gaps for critical leadership roles. That means that despite corporate training programs, off-sites, assessments, coaching, all of these things, more than half the companies had failed to grow enough great leaders. You may be asking yourself, is my company helping me to prepare to be a great 21st century leader? The odds are probably not. Now, I've spent 25 years of my professional life observing what makes great leaders. I've worked inside Fortune 500 companies, I've advised over 200 CEOs, and I've cultivated more leadership pipelines than you can imagine. But a few years ago, I noticed a disturbing trend in leadership preparation. I noticed that despite all the efforts, there were familiar stories that kept resurfacing about individuals. One story was about Chris, a high potential superstar leader who moves to a new unit and fails, destroying unrecoverable value. And then there were stories like Sydney, the CEO, who's so frustrated because her company is cited as best company for leaders, but only one of the top 50 leaders is equipped to lead their crucial initiatives. And then there were stories like the senior leadership team of a once thriving business that, surprised by a market shift, finds itself having to force the company to reduce its size in half or go out of business. Now, these recurring stories cause me to ask two questions. Why are the leadership gaps widening when there's so much more investment in leadership development? And what are the great leaders doing distinctly different to thrive and grow? One of the things that I did is I was so consumed.
One of the great questions I like that she mentioned was that what are the great leaders doing to become great leaders? And I think that's very important for all of us. Leaders in education are using inclusive leadership. So in my opinion, the leaders in education could use inclusive leadership by including and valuing everyone's opinion. Oftentimes people say that if you feel appreciated, you'll do more than asked. I find this very true. With true leaders who lead to encourage their fellow colleagues and staff to become better through encouragement and positive interaction, this is part of their success. Race, gender, class vary greatly in forms of education. Among the students and staff, there are varying degrees of race, gender, and class. As a leader, we have to be open, we have to be respectful, and we have to be willing to listen to everybody. Doing so shows the value of a person, therefore their willingness to do the best for their leader or their administrator in charge. As I was reading through our book, Leadership Challenge, there was a few quotes that stuck out to me. One is on page 169, and it said, "Everyone performs better when they take charge of change." This is absolutely true. I've read this quote over and over, and I actually wrote it on a sticky note and put it on my desk. If we take charge of change, we'll become better leaders. The other leadership challenges that I found that aligned with our coursework was one, developing managerial effectiveness, inspiring others, developing great employees who want to do their jobs, leading as a team and not just as an individual, guiding for change, and managing internal stakeholders as politics. Right now, as some of what's going on in our state is state funding for education, and right now we're in such a big debt that education has been put on the back burner for funding, which affects our students in the long run. The few citations that I used were from The Inclusive Leadership by Bill Amoria. The top 6 leadership challenges was from the Center of Creative Leadership, and What It Takes to Be a Great Leader was our great talk from Rosalind Torres. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.